Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 7 of the We Have Fun Racing League. It's Tier 1 on this wonderful Sunday evening under the lights here at the iconic Lusail circuit in Qatar. We have passed the halfway point of the season in Tier 1. And it is on to round 7 in Qatar. Just 6 rounds remaining of this season. And a season where it has been dominated, really, by the constructor RB. There is still a lot left to decide, as we have a full grid ready to go out into qualifying. 18 minutes to decide the grid in a decisive qualifying session. The drivers know how difficult it is to overtake here at Lusail, and qualifying may be the most important on the calendar here under the lights in Qatar. And the first out on track is the Aston of Ty Cleary, close followed by TG behind him. But last time out in the rain-soaked Miami, it was Chocolate Chip Cookie who braved the conditions to bring home a brilliant win for Red Bull. But very different conditions in the desert in Qatar. It may be night, but it is still boiling. Expect those tyres to be wearing very quickly come the race. But for now, all the drivers have to concern themselves with is getting the best time as possible on the board, and that is incredibly difficult to do at Qatar because we know how difficult the track limits are. Here, every single corner pretty much you are at risk of going off track and invalidating your time. Come the race, expect quite a few 3-second penalties to be flying around. They may end up being a decisive factor in deciding the winner today. We have got Ty Cleary's teammate Berlin retiring, maybe a possible quality infringement there and being enforced upon him, but it is the Aston readying himself to start this iconic track. 5.4 kilometers, 10 turns to the right, 6 to the left, and Ty Cleary will set us on our way for the first lap of the day. DRS and ERS deployed down the main straight, don't deploy too much, but readying yourself into the very quick turn 1. Haas in front there, nicely gets out of the way just about. Ty Cleary through now turn 2, swing it back to the left as he makes his way through the flat out turn 3 and up towards turn 4. Not much undulation in this track, but chucking it into turn 4, and then another right-hander closely followed. Swing it back to the right and heavy's braking zone on the track into turn 6. He gets it through nicely, keeping it nicely in the confines of track limits. A lot of the drivers will just be focused on getting a lap on the board this early in the session. Rounding turn 7 now and into the flat out turn 8. Readying turn 9, very difficult corners to get right, misses the apex slightly, but still gets on traction nicely and makes his way through the middle sector split. We'll see how those are getting on behind Ben into the iconic triple right-hander. Turn 11, turn 12 and turn 13 all in quick succession. And then one of the most difficult corners to get right. Make sure you keep all 4 wheels in the white lines. Very steady there for the Aston Martin as he makes his way into the final corner. Hug as much as the inside as you can. Also don't go too wide on the exit. And all the way up to the line. The benchmark for the day will be a 23.4. Expect that will be beaten quite soon. Last week's race winner Cookie on his way as well. Next across the line is TG, who beats that by a whopping 2 seconds with 21.5. And Chocolate Chip Cookie, meanwhile, has invalidated Gordon. Meanwhile, goes to pole by a 10th with a 21.4. Closely following will be a few more, including Echo with a 21.2. So that is the next best time everyone else has got to aim for. Already we're seeing quite a few invalidations, as we would expect. Cookie is still carried on, even though invalidated. After that, Swiggy just starting a lap. Godzilla making his way through the middle sector. Steve Beecham has invalidated. So a few drivers a bit more spaced out than they usually would be. Qatar really lends itself to the drivers kind of going out when they want because it is such a short track. They've got time to get around. Maybe even do 4 laps if they're very quick. Godzilla will be next across the line. And just about keeping his car in the white lines there. And into the final corner goes the Alpine. And a little bit of squirm coming out of turn 16. To the line, he will go slower so far with 23.5. Rhea Harris, interestingly, equipping the Inters. I'm not sure that'll be the fastest way around Qatar this evening. Screnzi on a lap, Swiggy on a lap. He hasn't invalidated so far. Michael Lewis also on a lap. His kick sour teammate currently occupies the front row. Nathan invalidates his lap as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a driver who invalidates all 3 of his laps, given the brutal nature of Qatar. Michael Lewis next up to the line. Only really 4 representative times so far. Swiggy joins his teammate in the top 4. Just 2 tenths behind. Michael Lewis goes P7, 22-1. Aro has high hopes coming into this race, and he will start his lap now. Scarenzi behind is invalidated behind him. Mad Max currently on a lap. Ollie just starting his lap as well. So as I said, a lot of the drivers having very different run plans so far. Pole sitter Echo currently 2 tenths clear of his nearest challenger. Just to remind you of how the standings are looking heading into this race. Obviously Trixie in a world of his own in the driver's standings. And in the team standings, Racing Bulls have got quite the advantage. We'll see if Williams, Red Bull or Kit can make any inroads into that. Meanwhile, Trixie trying to put that theory to bed, because RB go back to pole with a 20.6. That's quite a jump up from Ecker behind. 6 tenths. Trixie once again showing why he is the dominant force in this league. And 6 tenths is quite the jump up. I will say again, Aro was on a lap, but he is invalidated. You can actually go watch Aro stream as well. He is streaming with face cam and all. So feel free to see how Aro is getting on his stream. He might seem raging at the moment because he has invalidated, so he'll have no time on the board for now. Chocolate Chip Cookie has gone back out after he invalidated his first run. Ollie is not on a lap. Seen Beecham back out, Nathan back out. And everyone crawling around, really. LWB on a lap. Nice also on a lap. Ollie in front, choosing to set one later. See how Cookie's getting on. Red Bull currently sitting 3rd in the constructors standings. They could do another nice point soul if they want to eye up 2nd place. Whether they've got any hope of catching Trixie or RB at the top, that is the question. But yeah, see how Trixie's teammate Nice is getting on. He's way through the middle sector. See what the middle sector split is looking like. Not looking too shabby. And he's very fine on track limits, cutting through the last sector, but that is what gains you the fine margins here in Qatar. And that looked a little bit wide, but somehow he kept it in. So Nice really on the limit, coming out the final corner now. It seems like a nice lap for the RB, up to the line. He will go fastest, so he usurps his teammate by 1.5 tenths. And RB, halfway through his qualifying, already with a 1-2. So see if anyone can challenge that. Cookie through the first sector with 29.7. That's not a bad first sector at all. And just halfway through his qualifying already. And only half the field actually have a time on the board. Goes to show just how much of a problem invalidations are. See if Cookie can try and put his Red Bull in between the RBs though. And a 56.4 isn't a bad middle sector at all. See how on the limit he is into turn 15. And he just about kept it flat, but he didn't keep it in the track limits. So Cookie, for the 2nd time in this session, invalidates. And that's going to mean he's going to really have to take his final run just a bit more cautious, just to make sure he actually gets the time on the board. A few more on their laps now, though. Stephen Beecham coming up to the line now. And he will go to P8 with a 21.6. Behind him, Rhea Harris, who goes to P3 with a 21.1. So fastest of the non-Racing Bulls. Nathan coming around the final corner now, see if he can put his Haas anywhere near the top. To the line he goes, and he goes P3 now. So behind the RBs is actually very close. It's just a shame that the RBs are in a bit of a league of their own at the moment. So Aro going through on his lap now. So, and that looked very, very twitchy into turn 4, but he did get it to the apex, importantly. It's not the greatest first sector though, and that looks a little deep into turn 5. Cookie really could do with getting out of time on the board soon. TG goes to P6. Not too far away from his teammate. Gordon on a lap. DZ Racer behind him, also on the medium size, interestingly. Yeah, so DZ Racer on the medium size, whether he's trying to save a set of tyres for the race, I'm not sure, but interesting strategy from the Red Bull. Clear improved by a 10th with a 22 flat. Mikael Lewis with an absolutely massive slide out of turn 15. Just about kept in a straight line, more importantly, didn't invalidate. So he shall finish this lap. And we'll put Kicksauber up to 9th, just a few hundredths away from his teammate Gordon, who is improving through the middle sector. Trixie has come back out for his second run. He's just starting his lap. And that was very close to track limits for Gordon. So his Kicksauber is absolutely on the limit. Around the final corner. Can he put his car even faster? No, he can't. He lost a bit of time in that final sector. What is Trixie doing, though? Leader of the driver standings. RB's leader of the constructor standings. The man who's looked nigh on unstoppable all season. That was until Cookie upset the Apple car and won last time in Miami. But I'm sure that wet conditions, Trixie would have claimed he won that race. And he's going to try and prove it around Qatar. And what he needs first is to beat his teammate to pole. And he's 3.5 tenths up as LWB goes to P3 with a nice lap in the Ferrari. But Trixie saw his teammate getting pole, and I think he took that personally, because around turn 15 and now into 16. Up to the line goes Trixie. And is he going to go even faster? Yes, he is. By 2.5 tenths, Trixie takes back pole, and a 20.2 is going to take quite some beating today. LWB, the nearest non-RB car, is a whopping 6 tenths back, and 6 tenths at a track like Qatar, where it's difficult to gain time due to such fast corners and the short length of the track. 6 tenths is quite cataclysmic. So the others must be scratching their heads, thinking, where on earth are they getting that time? But just 4.5 minutes on the clock. RB truly do look unstoppable today. As Chocolate Cookie did actually get a lap on the board. Unfortunately for him, it's not very representative, so he's coming back out early. Aro was also a bit out of sync. He really needs the time. And still, 4 runners in this session without a representative lap time. Aro, this might end up being his last lap of the session, so let's see what the Williams can do. Williams, currently sitting second in the Constructors, currently without a time on the board. Aro is usually here in the commentary booth, but instead he's out there racing. And he'll want me to give him a good bit of screen time, and through middle sector, that's a bit more representative through sector 1, 29.8. He's being joined by Thori. That's a less representative sector 1. Nathan also on a lap. Currently sits P4. Second in the best of the rest. And that's not a bad first sector for him either. 2 tenths up. So we are seeing improvements, but that is another invalidation for Aro. And he just cannot keep his Williams within the white lines. Whether he's got enough battery or tyre life to go again, we'll find out. But Aro just, track limits is the bane of his existence at the moment. Let's see what Nathan in P4 is currently doing, though. And he is now 2.5 temps up. So Nathan's certainly looking to jump up into the top 3. Can he find any time in the final sector to challenge the 2 Racing Bulls? And that was severely out, though, and Nathan way too much speed into turn 15. And that ruins all the progress he made in the lap before, and I don't think he'll have enough time to go again. As Nice comes out on his outlap. Cookie, a 29.6 in the first sector. Now that is a very impressive first sector. We're looking at Racing Bulls type pace here if he can manage the rest of his lap like that. Cookie makes his way through turn 9. Through 11, 12, and 13. Can Cookie, who hasn't got a lap on the board at all of a sudden put himself right into the mix? So Cookie around the final corner. Up to the line, last week's race winner will qualify to pole with a 20.0. Cookie out of absolutely nowhere. All of a sudden goes 2 temps clear of the 2 Racing Bulls. And as said, Tritsky is right on his way to an easy pole. Might have to rethink my words here because he's going to have to find 2 temps if he wants to beat Cookie today. So Nice, his teammate, will be next to... Is Tritsky actually going to get out? Tritsky isn't going out. Tritsky... Maybe saving a set of softs for a race. Maybe he thought that would be enough to get pole. Clearly isn't, and Tritsky has not got enough time to set another lap. So Nice is now Racing Bull's last hope at a pole. Nathan Hitman has retired. So he will only be P5 at max. LWB starting lap as well. Echo on a lap. TG is improving on his lap. Gordon starting a lap. DZ Racer on a lap. Nearly every single driver is on a lap. Some of those need laps, otherwise they won't be able to even set a time in this qualifying session. Nice, though, through the middle sector. He needs a 5 temp improvement if he wants to beat Chocolate Chip Cookie today. Through the middle sector, that's not a bad middle sector. May put him on course to out-qualify his teammate, but unless he has a cataclysmic last sector, it will not be enough. Shucking it through turn 14, that was nicely done by Nice. And into the final corner he goes. Can he out-qualify his teammate? And just about keeping it in the track limits. Up to the line goes Nice, and he does out-qualify his teammate. It's not enough to usurp Cookie, though. LWB is not improving. DZ Racer goes to P6. TG is not improving. Rhea Harris is improving. We'll keep an eye on him. Michael Lewis up to P11. Gordon is invalidated. That's disappointing for Kick Sauber. Aro is finally looking to get a time on board. His teammate Ollie also needs a time on the board. Williams are having a disaster at the moment. There they come. Currently sit P2 in the constructor standings. They need at least something on the timing tower. Up to the line goes Ollie, and it's only P15 for him. Can Aro get somewhat of a representative time? LWB stays P4. Up to the line goes Rhea Harris, and he goes to P5. Not a bad lap from the Mercedes. Aro does finally get a lap in, and he goes 14th. TG is not improving, so that is your grid. It will look for all the world that Racing Bulls are going to have a comfortable pole here. Chocolate Chip Cookie, who hadn't had a single lap time on the board all session, suddenly jumped into pole, and he did it by quite some margin as well, 20.0. What a lap by the Red Bull. And he's upset the Racing Bulls apple cart, and will take pole in Qatar, at arguably the track where pole is the most crucial asset. There you have it. Racing Bulls will have it all to do to try and usurp Cookie at the front. Behind, though, it was incredibly close. LWB, Rio Harris, and Hitman all right in the thick of it. TG with both Mercedes right up there in the mix, and DZ Racer, Echo, and Scornsy rounding out the top 10. Williams, though, really have to make themselves a comeback job because 14th and 16th, that is going to really see them fall, possibly behind Kick Sauber and Red Bull in the Constructors' race. So they really need to gain a lot of positions if they are to get any meaningful points in the race. Onto the race we go, where tyre wear is incredibly high at a track like Qatar. Whether you can get away with one stops is the question. But this race may come down to who can pick up the least track limit penalties, because it is just so difficult to not get them. Here in Losail, it is pretty much every corner you are at risk of getting a track limit warning. So it's all going to be about consistency for tonight's race. It's also going to be interesting how RB play this, because they probably know they're in the prime position to win this race. They've got 2 cars against Cookie's 1. Let's not factor out all the drivers behind, though, but based on that qualifying, these 3 seemed in a bit of a world of their own. And so far it's looking like a mix of mediums and hards, so it'll be interesting to see if we do get quite the strategy split. And again, safety cars not really a massive risk in Qatar. There's an unlikely chance someone goes slamming into a barriers because they are quite far away. We await to go racing. And not to discredit the other drivers, but this may end up being Racing Bulls versus Cookie. And can Cookie try and take back-to-back wins? Very different conditions as well. Miami in the wets to Qatar in the dry. That would really prove that Cookie really has got it all. But here we go then. Round 7. Under the lights here in Qatar. And we are away for the We Have Fun Racing League. Chocolate Chip Cookie will look to cover off Nice behind. They are wheel to wheel heading down towards turn 1. Trixie's had a bad start trying to cover off a Ferrari behind, but down the inside goes Nice into turn 1. Holds it on the outside is Cookie. Now I'll turn to the inside for turn 2, and he will just about hold the lead. Trixie holding off Rio Harris behind into turn 2. On the outside now for turn 3, and Trixie will just about hold the lead. Harris ahead of Nathan behind. LWB's had a poor start down to P6, make that P7 as now DZ Racer up to P6. Now he has a spin, and now spinning into McLaren now as well. Goes the Red Bull. Disaster on the exit of turn 4. Echo now tumbles down all the way to the back of the field. LWB says thank you, I'll go up to P6. Now Nathan's wheels to wheel with Rio Harris into turn 7, and Nathan just about getting that position. So incredible scenes here on lap 1. A disaster for DZ Racer. He's now battling in the mid-pack with Stephen, Gordon and Berlin behind. But if you look back to the front, the top 3 all in unison. Cookie ahead of Nice, ahead of Trixie, and then a bit of a gap back to Harris, who's got his own train of Nathan, LWB and Scornsy. Both half cars having good starts in P5 and 7 as we make our way through turn 14. If we look at the tyres on the field, it's a very interesting split already, TG, with a 3-second time penalty. That maybe gives you a sense of the chaos that's about to ensue. Already within 1 lap, TG getting a 3-second time penalty. But the top three already breaking away as Nathan wants that P4, getting ahead of Rio Harris into turn one, and the Haas driver on those medium tyres looking to make use of the mediums while they are the faster tyre. So he now is a man on a mission. He will look to try and catch the top three back up, and Rio Harris will look to just try and stay with him. So Nathan, the highest medium runner, and he will be one to watch in the next few laps as Swiggy coming under pressure from TG behind. But it's a pretty 50-50 split between the hards and mediums in this race, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out come the pit stop range. But the highest gainers in this race is Swiggy in the McLaren, up 5 positions from 13th on the grid. Not up as many though as Berlin, who started dead last and is up to P14. Brilliant start from the Aston Martin. Echo with a disastrous first lap, started in P9. But a spin from DZ Racer has taken him down to P20. DZ Racer, despite spinning at turn 5, only lost 2 positions from that, and I think he got away without damage, so an unlikely escape there from the Red Bull. He's coming under pressure from Stephen Beecham, who's also gained 4 positions, so not a bad start from him. RO is up a position as well, up to P13. Meanwhile, I said keep an eye on Nathan. He's already got that gap down to nearly under a second. That's not a great last corner though, and that's going to lose him a lot of time heading into the main straight. So on to lap 3. The top 3, as we predicted, are quite a ways ahead of the rest of the field, but Nathan is trying to hunt them down on the mediums. Is there going to be a move here to the inside of turn 1? Aggressive move from Rio. Contact made and barges his way past. It's LWB, and Scorenzi says thank you. I'll take both overtakes. So Scorenzi up to P5, LWB P6. Rio Harris tumbled down to P8 now. He's only just ahead of his teammate TG. But I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that after the session, because a lot of argy-bargy into turn 1. And Swiggy is now up into P7. He is also on the mediums. He'll probably start to put pressure on LWB in front. But the Haas car is running 4th and 5th. What a result this would be if they finished in this order. So just a shame Scorenzi's not got his teammate to try and drag him along. He really could do with his DRS to defend from a huge train behind. Everyone from Scorenzi down to Michael in P17 in the DRS of each other. But Nathan has finally got back within that DRS gap. I think he has, unless he doesn't burn his battery too much here. But battery is something to manage here at Qatar. It is very easily drained around Losail, and they've really got to manage it. Nathan really teetering on the edge of a second. Did he get DRS? I'm not sure. But it just goes to show that Nathan does have a lot more pace at the moment. Just with these DRS strings, he's not really able to utilise it. LWB on the hard tyres is looking feisty behind the back of Nathan, or Scorenzi I should say. Meanwhile, there's a huge train going on behind Swiggy. Rio Harris is looking to take that P7 down the inside of turn 1 he goes. The outside line is preferred for Swiggy, who will hold on to P1 with a bit of a squirm to add to it on the exit of turn 1. So Swiggy will hold on to P7 on the medium side. Rio Harris will be frustrated to drop down to P8. We know he's got the pace to get a bit further up after that collision with LWB. So Rio Harris really trying to make his way back through the order with the pace he has got. Meanwhile, Nice are really keeping Cookie honest. I'm not sure they're going to do too much battling this early on in the race. They don't want to wear their tyres out too much. They are on the hard, so they aim to go a little bit longer than the rest. Meanwhile, a spin in the middle for Swiggy, I think. Swiggy has spun on the exit of turn 9, and he gets a 10-second time penalty to add to it for collision. And meanwhile, there's another collision. Stephen has made contact with DZ Racer, who is retired. And all that carnage just brought out a safety car. So I really could not tell you all the carnage that just ensued. But in the middle sector, we had Echo spinning. Stephen, I think, has made contact with DZ Racer. Stephen's got a broken front wing. DZ Racer is out the race. The safety car's now enabled. Echo and Thori will love that news, because that just allows them to get back in the mix. Meanwhile, Nice has stayed out. We've got a lot of activity in the pit lane. Scorenzi has stayed out. Everybody else nearly is coming into the pit lane. Quite a split here, as Trixie and Nathan in, Cookie in. R.O. Gordon has stayed out. Berlin stayed out. Michael stayed out. So where's Cookie going to factor out? Godzilla stayed out and Swiggy has stayed out. So Cookie is now going to file out into P9. And a split of mediums and hards as they come out. So a very early safety car, but it hasn't stopped people pitting. Cookie and these guys are pretty much now committed to a 2-stop. Those who have stayed out are pretty much on a 1-stop. As Echo gets a 3-second time penalty under the safety car. It's not the greatest way to use up a warning. But that's clever from Racing Bulls. One of them has stayed out and one of them has pitted with Cookie, so they're covering on all fronts with that. And pole was a 0.0 minute by Cookie, who is the leader now of those on the alternate strategy. And he's got 8 cars now separating him between the position he was in before, which was the lead. Nice now has inherited the lead of this race. It'll be too late for these guys to pit now. And we have our first retirement. I said we wouldn't get safety cars before the race because it's quite unlikely the cars to be crashing, but we've already had plenty of incidents under the lights here in Lusail. And the safety cars really set up a fascinating race from now. A completely split strategy as a look into the pit lane there for Gordon. Just thinks better of it. Meanwhile, into the pits does go Godzilla, so he's rethought about the situation. He's decided to come back in. So that just means one less car for this gaggle to try and overtake. Already 3 penalties throughout the field. Swiggy, TG and Echo. All with a penalty already. And the 2 Alpines now occupy dead last. Sauber currently sitting 3rd and 6th. That is a bit unrepresentative though. Will we get the safety car in this lap? I'm sure Nice wouldn't mind staying out just a little bit longer. Just means Cookie has got less time to utilise his fresh tyres. This is all going to be about how quickly these guys can clear the traffic ahead. Can Tritsky try and jump Cookie while he tries to overtake a few back markers? Nathan LWB will be a little slower on fresh hards. Ria Harris will look to make quick work of them. He is on the medium, so he needs to make use of them while they are faster. And then hards all behind that. And then 2 Alpines, I'll just be glad that they are back in this race. Echo as well, because he was one of those involved in that lap 1 skirmish. I think we might get another lap behind the safety car here because Thorry has not quite caught up yet. I think it is going to stay out another lap. Which Nice, I don't think will mind one bit, and all those who stayed out with him. Half laps of racing and half laps under the safety car. Still been equally exciting. Meanwhile, Swiggy has had a spin. Swiggy, who was P7, he was last of those who stayed out, but he spun on the exit of turn 14. So Swiggy, with a bizarre error, sent him right to the back of the field, and he's now got old tyres. So Swiggy, a disaster for him. Cookie, he won't be minding that one bit. That just means he's got 1 less car to overtake. So it was 9, now it's only 7. So on lap 7 now. 6 cars separate Cookie and leading again. All those cars have got full lap older tyres. And him, Tritsky, Nathan, LWB, Rio, they all need to clear these cars as fast as possible. Fortunately for them, I don't think these cars in front of them are going to let them by too easily. Should get safety car in this lap. Everyone is now bunched up. Swiggy instead now, 2 Alpines at the back of the field. And we are ready to get going here again in Qatar. Nice will lead us away with his 6-lap old hard tyres. Scarenzi with 6 lap, and just to add to Swiggy's disaster of a lap, he now collides with Thorry to get a 10-second time penalty. So Swiggy is really not having a good day in the McLaren after what started not too badly. But as I was saying, Scarenzi, his 6-lap old mediums might be starting to cry out by now a little bit. Gordon, Aro, Berlin, all interchangeable on mediums and hards. Michael on the mediums in P6, and then Chocolate Chip Cookie will be the one to keep an eye out. The leader of those on the alternate strategy. Will we ride on board with Scarenzi, who awaits Nice to get going again? As we round the final corner, Nice awaits to get on the power. As we crawl away out of turn 15, Nice gets on the gas, and we are ready to go racing here again in Qatar, weaving his way down the main straight. Gordon in hot pursuit of Scarenzi behind, and already Berlin pulling out wheel to wheel with Michael Lewis. Into turn 1 we go. Round the outside he goes into turn 1, brakes late. Michael Lewis on the inside will take position. They'll be eyed up by Cookie behind, but meanwhile Scarenzi is on the inside of Gordon, and Gordon takes P2. Swiggy gets another penalty to add to his woes, but Gordon has taken P2 on the hard tyres. Meanwhile, we look back to Cookie, who's already making quick work of these back markers ahead of Berlin. Now, can he get Lewis as well? 2 moves in 2 corners. Brilliant stuff from Cookie, and his rival Trixie is trying to follow him through. Rounding outside of turn 6 he goes, and he will now get the position. Nathan is also looking to make quick work of these guys, but Cookie and Trixie wasting no time whatsoever in clearing these guys with older tyres. And making our way through turn 10 now, he's now got Aro in his sights to try and get ahead of the Williams and close in on the podium step. Meanwhile, he's coming under pressure from Trixie, who's on the inside of him, trying to get the move there. This will be from the net leader of the race, keep in mind. Trixie just unable to get by so far. Rounding turn 11 now, flat out we go in this final sector. Hot pursuit goes Cookie and Trixie right behind Aro. Trixie is practically pushing Cookie into turn 14 we go. You were never going to be able to make a move there, as Berlin already down to P11 on his old hard tyres. But rounding the final corner we go. A lap of carnage, just nearly a spin for Trixie. So eager to get ahead of Cookie, he nearly span himself, and Michael Lewis is nearly coming back at him. Meanwhile, Cookie is already ahead of Aro. Up to P4 he goes. 4 moves in 1 lap for him. Cookie is ready to take back the lead of that race. Meanwhile, Harris rounding outside of Nathan. This is battle for position, both on the same age of tyres. Rounding outside goes Nathan, and he will just have to relinquish P8. They'll now look to try and get ahead of Michael Lewis behind, as Nathan tries to come back at the Mercedes in front. Cutting back to Cookie, who's now got Scarenzi in his sights, who's on 4-lap older mediums. I said his mediums will start to die off, but it's becoming very evident already. To the outside now goes the Red Bull, and is Scarenzi going to fight this too hard? I don't think he is. He's not got the grip to. Scarenzi has to relinquish P3, and Cookie is already up into P3. Oh, what a comeback this is turning into. Meanwhile, Trixie is still stuck behind Aro for not too long though, because now he's up the inside of turn 10, wheel to wheel with the Williams. And I think he's just got better traction to get the position. But he's lost a lot of ground to Cookie in getting past those back markers, and that is really going to be a detriment when they've got some clean air. Cookie may have a wonderful lead in this race, and now he's closing in on Gordon in front. Gordon has lost the DRS to Nice, so this may be easy pickings for Cookie heading into the final corner. Down the main straight, Cookie now eyeing up P2, and he was P1 just 3 laps ago. He's down to P8, now he's already back to P2. Fastest lap to go with it. Cookie is a man on a mission, and now he's just got to catch up to Nice, who is 2 seconds in front. Meanwhile, Scarenzi gaining in on Gordon, not quite close enough. Rio Harris makes quick work of Michael Lewis. Up into P7 he goes. He's now going to try and catch up to Aro as Mad Trixie on the inside of Scarenzi. He knows he's got to make moves. He doesn't want to lose too much time to Cookie in front, and he now goes up to P4. He's just got one more car between him and Cookie now, which is Gordon in P3. Still a lot of penalties going on at the back as well. 3 seconds all around. I'll have a look at how many they have got on the back, but still a huge field of cars. Third down to P16, all within the DRS of each other. And the guys on the old highs haven't fared too badly. Scarenza and Aro not going too shabby. But Cookie already, it was 2 seconds, and now it's already 8 tenths. Cookie has caught Nice at a rapid pace, and he's already 2.5 seconds clear of Gordon behind. Trixie now gets right up to the back of the kick Sauber. He'll look to make quick work of him. But Cookie, you get the feeling Nice is going to be a bit defenceless here. And that might have been a warning there. It's turn 14, but I don't think Cookie cares about warnings too much. He has got lightning pace, and he looks to take the lead. Nathan gets a penalty down in P9. He was one of the leading runners, so that's quite important for his race. As Cookie with another fastest lap. Nice doesn't want to give it up, but he's got no battery to defend, and Cookie easily takes back the lead of the Qatar Grand Prix, as there's Trixie getting up to P3 as well. More battling behind. Aro at Scorenzi. Rio Harris will follow him through, and Rio on those fresher mediums. He needs to try and get by Aro now. Scorenzi's just hanging on in there on those mediums. He'll probably hit the hards sooner rather than later. But his trainer car's divided between older and fresher tyres. But Gordon doing pretty well on those old hards as well to kind of pull away from those on the same strategy as him. Nice now will see if he can try and stick with Cookie in front. But Cookie's tyres will be much faster at this rate. And that slide is not going to help him, as Clear gets a penalty down in P12. Already 7 runners with track limit penalties. And Cookie burning every bit of battery he's got to stay in the DRS of the Red Bull. Meanwhile, a spinner for Godzilla in the middle sector. And hopefully we don't get another safety car. Otherwise I would have really jinxed it by then. Meanwhile, Aro in the DRS of Gordon, Rio Harris on the pressure mediums. Not really able to get too close. So Aro and Gordon both doing very impressive jobs. Nathan is closing in on Michael Lewis in front, but not close enough to shake for a move. So Nathan, you would get the feeling that his fresh hard tyres would be way faster than the older mediums. Not really able to make any major inroads. LWB follows him through behind. He hasn't got a penalty, so he'll be in a very good position come the later stages in this race. As Godzilla retires for the 3rd retirement of the race. Gordon leads this huge train all the way down to Berlin in P11. Trixie trying to home in on his teammate in front, but Nice has lost the DRS to Cookie in front. Cookie's pace is just too strong, and he'll now look to establish quite the lead in this race. Trixie now 4.5 seconds off the lead. He's going to need a miracle if he is to catch Cookie. And then Gordon, this is a fight to keep an eye on, leads this huge train of cars. And Rio Harris must be getting a bit frustrated stuck behind these two. He's got a lot more pace in this race. He's got a lot more battery as well, so not a great exit though into the final corner, and that still will not be close enough to shape for a move. Meanwhile, first of the alternate strategy pitters goes to Scorenzi, who is into the pit lane. Down the straight we go. Michael Lewis trying to stay ahead of Nathan. Down inside, he has a look. Michael gives him the room, and on the exit, got more traction, nearly more traction enough for a spin. Now to the outside of turn 2. Can he look for the switchback now? Heading towards turn 4. Michael Lewis don't want to give it up just yet, running on towards LWB. You can see this battle right in front of him. And through turn 4 and 5, it's just not close enough. Can LWB now shape for a move to the outside of turn 6? He just has to stay behind. So battling everywhere you look here in Qatar. Does he have a look to the inside of turn 8? No, just thinks better of it. So the leader's starting to space out now. Trixie gaining a little bit on his teammate Nice, but Nice is severely dropped off from Cookie in front. Berlin gets a 3-second time penalty as well now, so the warning's really starting to rank in now. Aro, Harris and Gordon all with each other still. And we'll see if anyone responds. And meanwhile, a collision in the middle sector. LWB goes round with Nathan. Whether that was contact which initiated it, I'm not sure. But Nathan with a 10-second penalty now. Every time I cut away, there seems to be a collision. But LWB has rage quit in disdain. Nathan with a 10-second time penalty and wind damage. He comes into the pit lane. Michael speeds and gets a 10-second penalty. So it's all kicking off here in Qatar now. Rio Harris has finally got ahead of WHF Aro. But LWB is now out of the race. His AI is taking control. Scarenzi is still the only one to pit on the alternate strategy. Nathan is serving his penalty, and he has to change his front wing in the process. Michael comes out behind Scarenzi. Nathan retires. So already 4 retirements in this race. And lap 13 is going to be one to report on because a big collision between LWB and Nathan has taken both of them out the running. So Rio up to P5, although with a penalty. He's now just got Gordon in between him and the leaders. Collision happened at turn 12. I'm not sure whether it was Nathan who spun and then spun into LWB, or there was a bit of contact which initiated it. Either way, I don't think you should be going wheel to wheel through that section of the track. Meanwhile, Tritsky hits after only 9 laps on the medium, so that's quite an early stop. He is triggering the undercut on Cookie, as Aro also pits. Gordon stays out. Rio is gaining, and he's now going to take P3 on the inside at turn 1, and Gordon just lets that go. So Harris up to 3rd position now. Gordon still stays out on his hard, so does Berlin behind him. TG still going, but Tritsky and Aro, where will they feature out into the race now? Trixie just ahead of LWB behind, who is AI, keep in mind. Scarenzi though, this is going to be close with Aro. Scarenzi on the outside into turn 1. He's got warmed up tyres, and to the outside of turn 1 he goes. Contact made, and he destroys the bollard in the process. Aro was not willing to relinquish that position. Scarenzi is not going to be happy about that. But Aro shut the door, and he will just about hold on to P14. That could be crucial for later in this race. Michael Lewis isn't too far behind him in P16 as well. But Gordon, you should expect him to pit, because he'll want to cover off those from behind. Although he does obviously have to go to medium, so he may end up going a little longer. Trixie though, he has come out in a bit of traffic just behind Thorry. Nathan Hitman puts an end to his misery and leaves the session. Trixie though, interestingly, Cookie didn't respond to that undercut attempt. He's happy to go for another lap. As Ollie now retires in the Williams. I'm not sure why. I think he's just retired in the pit lane for some reason. We got LWB coming in a push from Aro and Scarenzi. Scarenzi wants that position off of the Williams. He's gaining on LWB. Is he close enough for a move on Aro? To the inside of turn 1 he goes. Wheel to wheel we go. Scarenzi just breaks a little bit too early. And Aro will just about hold P12 or Willie though, because to the outside of turn 2 he goes now. Aro breaks late. Doesn't want to give it up. To the outside goes Scarenzi. Still not able to get ahead, but Aro now gets a penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. So a 10-second time penalty for Aro. And I'm not sure that was worth just keeping the position over Scarenzi. Aro, that is really going to compromise his race. Whether he'll try and get it removed after the session, we'll find out. Meanwhile, Michael Lewis up to P14 as well. He overtakes the AI car of LWB. So 6 retirements in this race now. At a track like Qatar, that is quite the number. As TG gets another penalty, let's just have a quick look at penalties. That is how they're looking at the moment. 9 seconds, 6 seconds, 3 seconds. So really spaced out across the field. Meanwhile, Berlin, one of those who stayed out. He comes into the pit lane. He's got 13 laps to make his mediums last. Meanwhile, Gordon comes back at Rio Harris now. He feels like he's got more pace in the kick salver. And he now takes P3, or does he though? Because Rio Harris is back round the outside. Contact made. And Gordon does just about take the position back. Although Rio Harris is coming back at the kick salver. Contact made again. Gordon brake late. And then low wheels to wheels turn 5 now. Battling a bit unnecessarily, really. Rio shoved off the track. He's now back down the inside of turn 6. Gordon switched back now at turn 6. Brilliant racing between the two. More contact. Barging wheels everywhere they go. And that is a massive crash. And I'm sure the stewards are going to have a big look at that later in the race. TG overtakes his teammates. But Rio and Gordon getting a bit too close for comfort. Rio tumbles down to P5 with wing damage. And if I do say so myself, I think that was a bit of a purposeful bump there. And the stewards are going to have a long, hard look at that, and we could see a hefty penalty. Whether it's for Gordon or whether it's for Rio, I'm not sure. But Rio must just be thankful he's not actually out the race yet. But we're fighting for the podium. As Gordon got away without wing damage, I think he has. So Gordon coming out of all that without really any damage and staying out in the process. Rio, though, he is going to come under pressure from Steven now. Coming around the final corner, and he does now peel into the pit lane. A disaster for the Mercedes, who was on for a podium here. But it's not going to be any more. Tritsky now takes P6. That's one less car for him to overtake. It'll be interesting to see if he is ahead of Cookie when Cookie pits, because Cookie isn't phased by his undercut attempts. Scarenzi and Aro fouled through. Scarenzi homing in on the Williams, not quite close enough for a move though. Berlin, interestingly, went to the soft tyres then. I don't know why he put on the softs, because he's really not going to make them last another 11 laps. Well, maybe he just wanted a quick burst of pace, or maybe it was accidental. We'll find out later, but at the moment, Berlin is going to be absolutely rapid. Scarenzi still unable to get ahead of Aro, really putting a lot of pressure on the Williams. Aro does have a penalty though, so as long as Scarenzi doesn't get a penalty, he will finish ahead of the Williams, barring he stays within 3 seconds. Tritsky also another one without a penalty. And right now there is only 5 runners left in this race who don't have penalties. So 10 laps to go now. Chocolate Chip Cookie, considering he has got 14 lap old mediums, his pace is still incredibly impressive. He's still pulling away from Nice behind. Nice has still stayed out. Gordon finally pits. TG also pits behind him. Tritsky will inherit P4 now. He'll close in on Stephen Beecham in front. Aro drags along Scarenzi. Berlin is closing up to the back of Michael Lewis. Around the final corner, he should take P10 now. So Gordon coming out of the pit lane now, he's going to be behind Scarenzi and Aro, but he's going to be ahead of his teammate, who is now getting passed by Berlin behind. So Berlin up into P9 on those soft tyres. Michael Lewis looks to the switchback, but on those softs, Berlin just with way more traction at the moment. But Gordon, that is a pretty good stint from him to come out in P8 and only just a bit ways behind Scarenzi and Aro. He's on fresh mediums. He's going to be absolutely rapid in the later stages of this race. These guys are closing in on Thorry in front, who is not yet pitted. Get the feeling Cookie's got to pit, and he is now pitting. So Cookie feeds into the pit lane. Where is he going to be in comparison to Tritsky? Tritsky just entering the final sector now. The gap was about 4.5 seconds before Tritsky pitted. Is 4 laps of undercut enough for him to jump Cookie? Down the straight, these two just heading into the final corner now. It's going to be ERS and DRS for Tritsky to get ahead of Beecham. Where is Cookie? Cookie just coming out the pit lane now. This is going to be quite tight. There is Tritsky to the inside of Beecham, riding on board with Tritsky. Here is the race leader, what will be. Cookie has timed that to absolute perfection. He has just about got out ahead of Tritsky. And that could be crucial for the later stages. Racing Bulls now unable to do any team play in this race. And with 5 lap pressure tyres, you'd expect Cookie to just now pull away. So Tritsky gave it a good effort, but even with 5 laps of undercut, he was unable to get ahead of Cookie. So it has been an absolute masterclass from the Red Bull today. And he is well on his way to back-to-back victories. Meanwhile, Gordon, I said he'd be quick. He's already caught Scarenzi. Berlin is catching up to these guys with him. But Gordon in prime position here for a great result for Kick Sauber. Scarenzi really struggling on 7-lap-old hards in front. Rio Harris gets another penalty to add to his woes. Berlin will try and follow him through behind. Nice is coming to the pit lane. He'll file through back out in P4. There's a yellow flag in the middle section. I think Thorry's on another spin at turn 5. Heading through. He doesn't want to get caught in a DRS frame behind these two. He's got a lot more pace at this point in time. Heading into the final corner. Cookie takes back the lead of the race. Stephen Beecham still going out in P3. He is keeping on those hard tyres. Meanwhile, Gordon is in hot pursuit of Scarenzi. ERS, DRS, and Slipstream. Can he shake for a move into the turn 1? To the outside he goes. So much more grip on the outside of turn 1 he goes. Scarenzi doesn't want to give it up, but fresher mediums have just got all the more pace. And Gordon takes P6, and now we will look to Aro in front. So Gordon absolutely racking in this race. He's burning his battery now. He might fancy the position into turn 4. Just stays behind. Aro goes off the track. That might be another warning. Fallaway through turn 6. Berlin now starting to pile on the pressure on Scarenzi. Benefit for Scarenzi is he still does not have a penalty, so he may be able to get ahead of Aro and Gordon despite them pulling away. Keep in mind, Aro has got a 10-second penalty, so no track limits for him. He overtook in the yellow flags, but he may try and get that removed for later on. So keep an eye on that in the steward's room afterwards. Michael Lewis, a bit ways back in a world of his own, unable to catch up to this fight so far. But Gordon practically pushing Aro through this final sector. As Cookie, just because for the sake of it, he fancies another fastest lap. He's now 2 seconds clear of Trixie behind. And completely unmatched in race pace today. So down the straight, is Gordon going to be close enough to shake for a move? Aro didn't have a bad exit coming out the final corner now. But with much more grip, Gordon will now eye up P5 to the outside of turn 1 he goes. And all the way around outside, Aro breaks late though. He doesn't want to give that up. Contact made, I think. And he's just about staying ahead. Back to the inside now. Of turn 2 he goes. Aro hangs it around the outside, but much more grip for Gordon. And Gordon takes P5 now. Fresher mediums. He is a man on a mission. And after Stephen pits, he will be promoted up to P4, and that will be a very impressive drive for the Kick Sauber. Keep in mind, he started P12 in this race, and for a P4 finish, that would be a very good result. Stephen Beecham, is he trying to get to the end? You get the feeling his tyres will have cried out by that point too much for him to try and get to the end. But then again, you really would have thought he would have pitted. As meanwhile, Aro is at a spin. Aro spins in the middle sector. Whether he got some help from Scarenzi behind, I'm not sure. But Aro, who was running so well in this race, tumbles down to P11. And what could have been a great result for him and Williams, he's barely going to score any points now. So Scarenzi, he won't mind that one bit. He's now just got Berlin to contend with. Berlin also started last, keep in mind. He's up to P7. So again, a brilliant race from him. And he's now gaining, and Scarenzi is in the close enough for a move into turn 1. Down the inside, he goes off a house. Massive send. And you think he gets his stop in time. Yes, he does. Scarenzi with the switch back at turn 1. Now to the outside of turn 2. But Berlin has got the position. Incredible stuff from the Aston Martin. Can Scarenzi try and come back? No, he can't. So brilliant overtake from Berlin there. His soft tyres aren't giving out just yet. And what a race it's turning into for him. Nice closing in on Tritsky, who I didn't realise actually got a penalty. So Tritsky, a 3-second penalty, that's just going to ruin any chance he wants at P2 today. I think Racing Bulls are just going to have to settle for 2nd and 3rd. Stephen Beecham, he is surely trying to go to the end. I think he would have pitted by now if he was going to pit again. So Stephen Beecham is trying the one-stop. He's the only one of those who pitted during the safety car to try and get to the end. And he could still be on for a decent result here. He's only got 1 3-second penalty. Oh no, 2, sorry. So that is going to set him back a little bit. Berlin, though, with 9 seconds of penalties. He's actually still pulling away from Scarenzi. So Berlin with 9 seconds of penalties and 7-lap-old soft tyres. He's still got brilliant pace. Meanwhile, Michael Lewis coming under pressure from Echo and TG behind. So running on board with McLaren, running out of battery to get ahead. But to the inside he goes on Michael Lewis now into turn 1. Wheel to wheel we go. And Michael Lewis just has to relinquish P8. TG will try and follow him through. And Rio Harris, what a disaster of a race he's had. Ever since that collision with Gordon, he'll be looking at Gordon now and thinking that could have been me. as Echo now gets another penalty though. So Scarenzi is really impressive that he hasn't got a single track limit penalty in this race. Even Beecham though, he's probably going to get beaten by Gordon today. But still, after starting P15, finishing P5 at Qatar would be a brilliant drive. It's just about whether he can get those tyres to the end. Meanwhile, I think that's the third spin of the day for Thorry, spinning out at turn 5. What a disaster of a race him and Alpine have had. LWB, after his race was going so well, still going his AI, running very slowly, lonely at the back of the field. As TG closes in on Michael Lewis in front. He's got the freshest hard tyres of the bunch. Rio Harris gets another penalty to add to his woes. Berlin, I'm still impressed by how strong his pace is, given that soft tyres don't usually last very well at Qatar, but he's still going strong in P6. It's just a shame about those penalties that he's that's going to drop him a few positions. It's a variety of tyres and a variety of penalties with just 5 laps to go in this race. The only thing that we don't need to question is Cookie's got dominance this evening. 4 seconds clear of Trixie behind Racing Bulls. Just have not had an answer for this guy's pace today. He's well on his way to back-to-back wins and maybe mounting a title charge on Tritsky in front. And what a fight that'll be until the last race of the season. So Nice not too far behind in P3. And Scarenzi still on his way to P6 in this race. Although Echo, as I say that, is catching them with 4 lap fresher hard tyres. I'll keep penalties on the screen now. This is important for the race. And him and Berlin actually have the same penalty, so that is 4th position. Stephen, though, is passed by Gordon now for P4. Stephen knows that is not his fight. He is just aiming to hang on to P5. Although Scarenzi, as it stands, he will get within those 6 seconds of Stephen to get ahead. Berlin, though, has more penalties than Stephen, so Stephen could still salvage a top 6 finish here. Echo gets another penalty, though, so if he does want to beat Berlin, he's going to have to build a 3-second gap on him. We've got a lot of pace, Echo, though, in this race, so if he can clear these guys quickly, he might have a chance. But you can only do so much through this middle sector. Heading into turn 8, he's not just close enough for a move just yet. And nearly a spin to go with it coming out of turn 8. Michael Lewis coming under pressure from TG behind. They are differing penalties though. Aro is actually catching back up to this train. So Aro, who despite spinning, he's actually nearly caught Scarenzi back up. So these guys might converge by the end of the race. Meanwhile, Echo with much more grip, and that is a Northern Orthodox move. Round the outside of the final corner, you don't usually see moves there, but Echo has got it done. And up to P7 goes the McLaren. And now we'll try and look to gain on Berlin, though. He's drained a lot of his battery, Echo. Scarenzi's still got a lot left. And Scarenzi will now take back P7. Into turn 1 we go. Can Echo try and fight back? Round the outside he goes. And so much more grip on fresher, hard tyres for the McLaren. He retakes P7 in this race. So 3 laps to go. Stephen is still going. And his pace isn't even too bad either. He's not really losing as much time as I was expecting. So Stephen, this is a monumental effort from the Ferrari. Just about whether he can hang on and not puncture those tyres by the end of the race. Stephen, what a race this will be for the Ferrari as Echo starts to put pressure on Berlin. He needs to overtake Berlin and then build a 3-second gap. Berlin, though, who still is on now, what, 10 lap old soft tyres. And to the outside now, that's going to get risky. Run outside of turn 10. Contact made, Echo gets shoved off. And that was never going to result in a successful overtake on the outside of the fan of the fast sweeping right-handers. But now he looks to the inside of the final corner, a bit of DRS chicken maybe from Berlin. Scarenzi's now caught back up to these two. Berlin with an ERS advantage. Down the main straight we go. He isn't willing to give this up to Echo just yet. Pulls to the outside, and the McLaren just with a bit more overspeed to get the position. So Echo takes P6 now. Scarenzi is happy to stay behind. TG up to P9. And we're on to the penultimate lap, and we've still got a lot to decide. Can Stephen hang on and not get a puncture? Scarenzi might not even be within 6 seconds of him, so he may, Stephen, still salvage a top 5. Berlin, Scarenzi, TG, Michael Lewis and Aro all right with each other. Aro, if he catches up to Scarenzi, that might get a bit personal. Rio Harris now with 18 seconds worth of penalties. I think even I would have predicted that becoming a problem for him. Meanwhile, the 2 Racing Bulls have convened in P2 and P3. It won't matter because Trixie has got 3-second time penalty. But Trixie may be just trying to stay ahead on merit, just for a little confidence boost. Scarenzi though, right behind Berlin. Echo has actually got a lot of pace here, and I think he's going to drop 3 seconds, so Echo is on for P6 here. That's a decent recovery from the McLaren. And not a bad result for them. Scarenzi though, he knows he's going to finish ahead of these guys anyway because he has avoided a penalty today. He's coming under pressure from TG though, who wants to have a crack at Berlin. Heading down the straight though, Scarenzi burning every bit of battery he's got left. To the outside of Berlin he goes. To the outside of Berlin goes TG as well. Berlin breaks late though and tries to stay ahead. Forces Scarenzi just to back out. TG gets another penalty. Michael Lewis tries to get through on him. Aro's trying to go around the outside as well. So on the final lap, there's still Aro battling for position with Michael Lewis. Heading down towards turn 4. Scarenzi's still having a look at Berlin. He really doesn't need to though, because he has got that position sorted out anyway. Aro now gets into Michael Lewis for P10. That is for position. So he will salvage a few more points today. TG on the inside of Scarenzi for position 8 and 9. Scarenzi just about staying ahead. But we cut to the leader, Cookie, who has been uncontested all day. He has provided a strategic masterclass here in Qatar, and Cookie wins round 7 of We Have Fun in Losail. RB threw everything they had at him, and it was just not enough. Meanwhile, I think there's been a bit of carnage in the middle sector, has there? I think Echo might have had a spin. Echo has spun, and now he's right in the thick of it with this fight. I would talk about the podium. There's a lot of carnage in this final sector. Aro contact with Echo, takes P9. Berlin is still in P6. Stephen, I think his tyres have just hung on, and Stephen is going to come home for an incredible P5 position. He's made that one stop work, and 20 lap all hard tyres. Aro out the final corner, nearly has a spin. Echo P9, TG P10, and up to the line it's Scarenzi, who just about got Stephen in the end. 18 milliseconds separated them. So a top 5 for him. Berlin is 7. What a drive from him from last place on the grid. Aro is P8 after his spin, although he might try and get his penalty removed. Michael Lewis P9 and Echo P10. Mercedes 11th and 12th. A disaster of a day for them. Clear P13. Thori after his spins P14. And what a Qatar Grand Prix that was. The only thing that looked definitely decided from early on was Cookie's victory. Everything behind, though, was utter carnage. So Cookie really starting to mount a title charge on the Racing Bulls. He really seems like the only one who can challenge their reign. And Nice beating his teammate Trixie to P2. But whatever they did, they just could not stop Cookie today. And his back-to-back wins. He won last time in Miami in the wet, and he's won today here in Qatar in the dry, really showing that he can excel in all conditions. Oh, okay. I wanted to get the screenshot of the race, but never mind. I think driver of the day goes to Berlin as well. Last P7. That is quite the result for him. But Cookie has been your race winner. And what a race in Qatar that was. Be sure to join us next week for Spa. Oh, actually, sorry, we've got a 2-week break now, so the drivers will surely enjoy their week off, and then it is back to racing in 2 weeks' time at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. But thank you all for joining us for round 7 here in Qatar. It's been an honour to commentate on We Have Fun, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And we will see you in 2 weeks in Spa. Goodbye.